Well, hi there, folks. This is your host, idjester. Thanks for joining me again today as we look at VTTs, or Virtual Tabletops. Hopefully you've been able to watch the last couple episodes. Not really required, but this is going to be an overview of one of the big three, as I like to call them. The big three being D20 Pro, Fantasy Grounds, and Roll20 are the big three for me anyways. And last episode we kind of talked about some of the pros and cons of each of the different systems, what they do, what would be a perfect virtual tabletop, and what each of these could bring to the table. So right now we're going to be looking more along the lines of Roll20 and looking at the pros and cons and actually getting into how the actual system works. So if we look at the pros, large user database that's growing quickly, which is obviously very, very good for me. Interested in that. Very easy to use. For me, that's not a big issue. I am kind of computer literate. I work in computers all day, blah, 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 blah. But for ease of use, I think it's important for, my players who, they're not very keen on switching over to a virtual tabletop and trying to get them to play something that's hard to use and has a bad interface and everything just didn't seem like something that they would be interested to do. So kind of having a something easy is obviously very good. Nothing to install, and it runs in a web browser, which I think is just a plus for it. It gives you availability to be up and running without having to worry about whether or not your software is working and up to date and blah blah blah. As long as you got a Windows browser, you are good to go. And that's, of course, the last thing, which is free. Now, when we talk about free, a lot of people don't understand that things that are free don't necessarily mean they're better. In fact, it might mean that they are not as good because, well, let's look at MMOs out there in the internet, shall we? MMOs, they used to have subscription fees. And back in the day, we're talking, 10, 12 years ago, a lot of them all came out with subscription fees. And people got all bent out of shape. I'm not paying $15 a month, blah, 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 whatever. And, a lot of people ended up quitting. And then, so what ends up happening? Well, if the game company, whether it's an MMO or virtual tabletop or anything else, is getting money in for this, for whatever it is, whether the software package, the online multiplayer, massive online role-playing game, whatever it is, if they're having a subscription fee and they got money coming in, that means several things. Number one, they can keep it up to date and they can keep working on it and making it better. If it's free out there, then what ends up happening is, like all the other MMOs that have come out, say, within the last 5 years, what ends up happening is, okay, it's free to play, you can sign up, you can do whatever you want, blah, 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 but here's the deal. We aren't going to support this game, we're not going to be able to update it, we're not going to be able to add new features, we're not going to be able to do any of this unless we get more money coming in. And not only that, but because it's free, you're not going to get all the things that are involved with the system. You're just going to get the basic game. You're not going to get all the advanced things. If we're talking about MMOs or whatever, your MMOs, okay, well, you can only play up to level 10 and you can only carry 10 things with you. And so you start playing the game because it's free, and then you get 10 items, and then once you get your 11th item, you're like, well, crap, what am I going to do with this? This game sucks. I can't even hold more than 10 items. Oh, wait a minute. You can, but you have to pay for it to be able to do that. Oh, well, I'm not paying for it because it's free. And then, well, being free again just means there's no money coming in because nobody's paying for it, which means they're not going to be coming up with updates. We're not going to be doing all this thing. Now, I'm not saying Roll20 is like a MMO at all. I'm just kind of using these as a comparison, in that free doesn't necessarily mean better. It just means that without money coming in, they're going to have a harder time supporting the game. They're going to have a harder time updating it, adding new features, whatever, to it, because, well, they're not making a lot of money. So the way D20 Pro specifically gets around this is, yep, that's the wrong screen. It is absolutely free to play. Let's see if I can go here. Roll20net. There we go. It is absolutely free to play. You can join. You can join 500,000 tabletop gamers. Go back to the main screen, please. Thank you. You can create a free account. I'm going to have to switch back and forth because it keeps wanting to jump to my page here. Let's see. Can I go to the home? That's not going to do me any good. I just want to go to the main page. No? You're not going to be that like that? Okay, great. Here's what we'll do. We'll sign up. And then once we're signed out, it won't be able to go to our page. There we go. So the way Roll20 specifically gets run there is it's totally free to play. You can sign up. You can get a free account. There's nothing to do with it. But there is features that you won't have access to unless you buy the subscription. So if we go to the marketplace here, eventually we will get there. Here we go. So of course there are lots of things you can purchase, extra modules, some feature sets, premium assets. There are free assets, as you can obviously see here, but where do we find out the information on the subscriptions? Please tell me. Probably won't do it because I'm not logged in. Isn't that a bite in the pants? Alright. Alright, well, at least it won't show my password here. So you get 5,000 free and premium assets for virtual tabletopping and RPG games, yada yada yada. Now that I'm signed in, no, you don't need to keep my password. Thank you very much. Let's go back to the marketplace, and it should tell us about our subscription fees if we're interested in doing that today. No? Really? Let's see if it missed it down here. I don't see it there. You think every time you log into an actual game, it pops up a little message saying, but now that I'm trying to actually purchase it, I can't. Oop. Let's see if we can do a search for it. Oh, well. Ah! Okay, subscription. Here we go. No, that's not exactly what I was looking for. Alright, so I'll have to do this the hard way. Sorry, folks. All I have to do, sorry about that, is we will log in. D20. Oop. Nope. Roll20net. There we go. Once it goes to our page here, we will launch our campaign. And you will notice when I launch my campaign, eventually here it is. Become a supporter today to disable advertisements for you and your players. So let's click on Become a Subscriber. There we go. That's one way to set it up. So here we are. As a base free player, you'll get custom upgrade storage. You get 100 megabytes. You can have up to 5 megs per asset, which means any map, any token, any icon, anything has to be 5 megs or less. You have 100 megs of storage. You have unlimited campaigns and players. You can have access to community created sheets. No advanced features, no delve access, public forums, 2 active listings looking for players, and you have access to the wiki and community, and of course that is free. If you are a supporter, you get 1,000 megabytes, up to 10 megs per asset. So again, maps, icons, tokens, whatever, can be up to 10 megs in size. You have unlimited campaigns and players. You have access to the character vault. Use your characters across games as a player or a GM. You have dynamic lighting and line of sight, which is a very cool feature. One of the really cool features that I would love to have. Dynamic lighting, basically you can say, okay, this character has a 30-foot radius of light around them, and so when they move their icon around the table, it'll actually only illuminate those areas that are within his line of sight and within his lighting range. Of course, you have mobile tablet support. That's the same. You can have unlimited active listings looking for players. You have the external journal access, the custom campaigns breakdowns. Of course, you get no advertisements for you or your players, and you get a profile badge. This will cost you $5 a month or $50 a year. So if you do it for a year, you basically get 2 months for free. You're paying for 10 months, get 2 months for free. That is your supporter level. And then, of course, you have your mentor level, which has got 2,000 megabytes. So double the supporter. Unlimited campaigns. Same thing there. You also have here, you have the transmognifier. So you can share pages, characters, handouts, and more between any of your campaigns. Which is really cool because, you know, if you have an account or one campaign or one adventure or whatever, and then you go to another adventure, you can just take that stuff from the one and copy it over the other. You also have Roll20 API access, so you can customize and enhance your game with the API. You have full access to the Delve servers. You have the mentors forums. You have email support with the Delve team. You get a mentor token program, and this will cost you $9.99, $10 a month, or $100 a year. So quite a bit more, but of course it costs you a little bit more to actually get your game, to get this virtual tabletop up and running. So I mean, $50 a year is not bad, or even $100 a year isn't bad. But then what you got to remember is you're paying that year after year after year. So I mean, after say 4 years, if you got this subscription, you're paid $400 for this program. So you got to compare that to, okay, how much would it cost me if I bought this other program? And maybe, you know, when we look at Fantasy Grounds over here, and it costs, you know, $120 for a 4-pack plus all these extensions and packs and everything else, and you start adding up the total here, is that going to be more than a couple years of actual playing with D20, Roll20? So yeah. So you help, of course, as I mentioned in the beginning of this episode, my whole big spiel was about, you know, free doesn't support them. If you pay money, that supports them, and that gets you access, that gives them access to make new hires for help, funding a brand new project in addition to the core virtual tabletop. So you can see, being free doesn't help them at all. They need people to pay money, either through being a subscriber or purchasing things on their website, so they can have more space for your things, so they can give you access to more advanced features, so they can create a brand new edition. So yes, just because it says free on there and people jump on and say, "Oh, let's play this as free," it's not going to help the Roll20. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help your players playing free. Just like any MMO out there that's free to play, that MMO won't be around in a year or two if everybody plays it for free. If everybody plays it for free, this never goes up. And if this never goes up, the developers just say, fine, then we won't help. We won't put a new version out. We won't do anything. So, anyways, that's just my spiel on the feed stuff. So even though it says free, that is wonderful. Obviously, it shows you all the benefits down here about the dynamic lighting, the mobile tablet support, the Roll20 API. It's a powerful tool which allows you to take your Roll20 gameplay to the next level. Add new types of dice, automatically add stats, markers based on hit points, spring traps on your players, and much more. So basically, gives you the ability to write scripts which run alongside your game, listening for events, and changing tokens, characters, chat messages, anything. So yeah, I mean, the one thing we talked about, or not talked about, but I'd seen was you put these little invisible pins, maybe in this square here. If this character moves in that square, the pin might say, oh, if a character enters this screen, then do this. You know, put a bunch of text and then have monsters spawn and blah, blah, blah. So, cool little feature. Unfortunately, you don't get it unless you pay $10 a month. Transmogrifier, crazy campaign wizard, blah, blah, blah. Developing server access, custom upload storage, mentor token program. All right. So that's the ins and outs of Roll20. Let's look at the ins now, shall we? Here's first things first. Let's talk about what are we going to do here? We're going to give you an overview of what's going on here. So when if you're the DM, you create a campaign, you go in, you create your account. You're just going to say create new campaign, obviously like you saw me do when I logged in, and it's going to come up to a page similar to like this, or maybe even blank. So several things going on here. Yeah, this toolbar on the left hand side. First, I should say, I've only had this game for this program for like 3 days, 4 days now. So I'm certainly not an expert on it. I'm not trying to be an expert on it. I'm just trying to show my players how to play it, how to use it, what it can do, and hopefully I'll be showing them something that maybe you can learn if you're watching this and you're not one of my players. Anyway. So you have this little toolbar over on the left-hand side, and then you're going to have your main play area here in the middle, and then of course over on your right-hand side is another bar that's going to have lots of features. So when I log in, if I'm the DM or you're creating this, you're going to have access to this player link for this campaign. And so you can see it's hidden until you show this, and each time I believe it's a new number, maybe not. I'm not sure if it is or not. But I would just copy this link and paste it into an email, send it to my players. They would get their email and say, oh, okay. Or if you use Skype, you could just post in the chat log there, wherever. Send it to your players. They just click on the link. They log in, and you're connected. You have access to zooming in and out of the main part of the screen here, as you can see. So I can be zoomed out, have more access for character sheets or whatever I need to have access to over here. This bar over here is actually editable, where you could bring it out more if you want to see more messages or less messages, depending on how fast this is scrolling. If you have a lot of people typing in a lot of chat, or if you don't have a lot of people typing in chat, you might want to adjust that. So up here on the top right hand side, we have the chat window. Obviously, anything that types in the players type anything in the chat, it will come up. And let's clear out the chat here so it's easier to see. There we go. All right. Hey there. Here we are. Boom. And so, if they type in whatever, my character is walking down the hallway. Of course, this is mostly chat is going to be for emotes or some kind of a system to let you see the dice rolls and all that. It's not going to be for typing exactly what you're doing. I would never play D&D without voice communication, obviously. Way too hard to be typing back and forth, and people asking questions, and you're typing their answers. Nothing will ever get done. So, voice communication, you're going to be talking and saying, oh, I'm going to do this and that, and okay, I need you to roll a 20-sided dice, and this is blah, blah. So that's what this is for. The chat. So then you also have the little creation window here is what I call it. It's the art library is what it is. And you have access to tokens, maps, tiles, textures, portraits, or anything. And I can do a search for tokens. I can say, okay, let's do a search for orc. And of course it'll search for my library, anything that I have access to. And you will see I currently have access to one. And I'm going to show you how I added that later on. But you can scroll down here and you go, oh, I like this one. That's pretty cool. Oh, I like this one. Oh, I like this one. Whatever. You can click it and drag it over to your map. Bloop. And there he is. There is our token. If you like this kind of format, you want him to show up next time, you can just click this little star button next to him. So the next time that you click on orc, and a lot of this stuff I'm showing you obviously will be for DMing, but some of it's not. So you can see that it shows up at the top because it's got the star next to it. Yada, yada, yada. Alright, so that's the token tab. Next is going to be the character tab. This is where you're going to have your characters for the players to join. They're going to join the game, then they're going to click on one of their characters, and they'll have access to it. So I just have a couple, just blah, nothing really really interesting here on the map, on the thing here, but I do have one character, Blackrock Hammerfist, which got a nice little icon there. We actually have access to, and this is one of the new features in Roll20, is they now have character sheets. I am basing this game and this system on the new 5th edition, so this is a 5th edition character sheet. And of course it's totally editable, so you know, if I have a 14 wisdom, you can go into your skills here and say, you know, this, you can basically create your character in the game as you go. And if you watch my episode, a few overview of RPG Virtual TableTops, pros and cons, one of the things they talked about was, you know, having to waste time getting together face to face when you could do this online. Hey, you know, everybody show up at 8 o'clock on Thursday and we'll make characters. So I can create a blank character in, you know, a matter of seconds. All I have to do is just click the add button here, and I've made myself a new blank character, column for long. And of course, column for long we'll have a character sheet, and that's where the player could log in and say, okay, I'm going to start making my character. Sure, start making your character. Okay, well then I'm going to have a 12 strength, and I'm going to have a 10 dex, I'm going to have a 15 constitution, I'm going to have a 14 intelligence. Lo and behold, I have an 8 intelligence and an 8 charisma because I used up all my points. Alright, whatever. I'm going to make my skills here. I'm going to be trained in animal handling, yes, and nature, yes. Intimidation, background. Okay, here's where I'm going to choose my background traits. Class. We are going to make us, what did we put our stats into? Intelligence and constitution. Probably, let's go with a nice wizard. Sure, we'll add a level wizard there. And so all this programming is going into the actual D20 net, and it understands, okay, I'm your first level wizard. You have 12 strength. That means something to me. That's just not a number on a page. That actually means something to me because it gives you a 1 modifier. And we'll show you here in just a minute what all that means. Weapons. Okay, we're going to give you a staff. Alright. Wield, and we're going to have to wield it with both hands. Is it a finesse weapon? No. Does it have a magical property bonus? No. To hit is 3 with the staff. Damage dice is going to be a 1d. I don't have my cheat sheet up, so we're just going to give it a d8 because, you know, whatever. That's what I like. And damage is going to be 1d6. There we go. Bum 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 bum. So the game is smart enough to go, oh, you have a 12 strength, which gives you 1 modifier. It already put that in. You can see I can't actually go in and change those. Those are not something I can change. So the game knows that this 12 actually means something to it. So there's some programming in here going, okay, a 12 strength equals a 1 modifier. If we go back to our weapon here, you will see that our stat, oh, I'll go back here first. Since we are first level, where are we? We're our first level. It knows that because we're first level, we get a proficiency bonus of 2, which should be listed right here. Proficiency bonus 2. 2 automatically knows that this number, you can't change it because you're a first level wizard. I mean, all first level characters have a proficiency bonus of 2. And it knows that because you have a +1 modifier in your strength, you're going to have a 2 hit of bonus of 3. So it knows this. Again, I can't change these numbers because it knows there's some programming in there. So characters or players can make their characters. They can't really, of course, they can break the system because there's nothing to prevent me from putting in a 2-handed battle axe, 2-handed, yada yada yada. 1d20 or whatever. There's nothing. The game isn't going to say, "Oh wait, you can't do that. You don't have proficiency in it." Blah blah blah. So you know, it's not going to be checking your whether or not you have access to things. Now that what I just said there could be not completely true. I'm thinking it actually has. Anywho. You're going to be building your character, you're going to be putting it in, you're going to be inputting the information. If you're not sure, of course, you know, because you're online, you're with your DM, or you're with other players, you can ask questions, whatever. Armor class, let's see, what do we have? Cloth armor, I should have my player's handbook up. We'll give it a base, or not my player's handbook, my, what you call it, basic D&D rules set. I will, on my other screen, I will do this really quickly so I don't lie about anything here. Equipment, let's look at armor. Yeah, sounds good. Padded, okay, let's give them padded. That's what I meant, not padded, not cloth, padded. Armor. Gives them a base AC of, 11. Armor type is light. You can see I've got no magical bonus. Total is 11. Stealth penalty. Nope. Speed penalty. Nope. Alright. So I could add in something else if I had it. So, I mean, basically what I'm showing you is built-in character sheet in the program. You can adjust your character bio, info, abilities. Okay. Some of this stuff is very, very important, which we'll get to later. But, you know, this stuff here is going to give you access to do other things later on. Abilities tab here, I can do something like, let's see here, I'm going to add in something, a nice little macro here, something quick and easy. We'll just call this staff attack. Alright, and so I'm going to roll /R 1d20 plus, I'm going to put the and sign and I'm going to type in S. So it's going to be strength. So it's going to add a 1d20 plus your strength modifier. And of course I'm going to Control C. I'm going to do this again because we're playing 5th edition. In case you have advantage, you don't want to have to keep re-rolling. So you're just going to roll twice and you're going to save this change. You're going to show this in a macro bar and a token action. So what does all that mean? I did blah, blah, blah. You're probably wondering, what the hell are you just doing? You're confusing me. It's not really that hard. So you can create these little macros, and they'll show up either down here at the bottom or up here. So you can see I've got one already, Hammer Fist Attack. So this is for our Blackrock Hammer Fist. When he goes to attack with his Battle Axe, does 1d8 damage. Bonus damage, you can see bonus of 2 to his damage because of his strength. Yep, there we are. Alright. So I can, instead of having to bring up my character sheet, if Hammer Fist here uses this attack, his Battle Axe, he doesn't need to bring up his character sheet. All he needs to do is click this button right here, and you will see the dice come out and roll. And so what will happen is he's going to roll 2 20s, again, because of 5th edition. For those of you who are familiar, if you have advantage on a certain situation, you'll roll 2d12 or 2d20s and take the higher result. If you don't have advantage, you just take your original dice roll. So in this case, his original dice roll was an 11. It automatically added 2 because of his strength bonus, and his total is a 13. Of course, I can compare that to my creature. So here is our orc creature that we just put on the map, and you can see it is a token. And I can resize the token. You can see that. One of the cool features of... let me minimize this over here for a second. One of the real cool features of Roll20 map is I can actually keep it freeform. So depending on the map situation, the monsters and everything can move around. Move around the map. Or I can have it put on a grid. If I go to the grid, I just click up here at. Let me show you what I'm doing here. There's a page toolbar. Each one of these pages is basically a page of your story. So whatever tab the DM puts the players on is the current page that they'll see. So you can see here the players here at the start map. So this is when they log in, this is the map they will see and they'll have access to. Now what I can do here in the page tabs, you see how I can set up a whole bunch of different things. I'm just going to enable the grid, and I chose this different color. Maybe I should choose something that stands out a little bit more so you can see the grid a little easier. You can see the pink lines in the grid. Now obviously I wouldn't have that in a normal D&D session, but watch what happens when I make my little character here. You can see he's too wide here, so what I'm going to try to have to do is resize him. And what will happen is when I get it to the size of the grid, it'll lock that in place so that it's a 5x5 area. Very nice little feature. Then, of course, if I don't want the grid, I just come back and turn it off. But it helps you resize all of your characters so they're the same 5x5 foot, and they fit in the grids really nice. Now, most of the time we'll be playing on a grid size map, so we'll keep on the map. But one of the cool things is you can come here, you can say, okay, I want to just light gray lines, and we want them really faint here. We don't really need them. Did I click it or did I not? No, I did not. There we go. And you guys on the internet probably can't see that, but there are really faint lines there. Let's change the color just so you can see. Let's turn on back on the pink here. You can see much more faded out, so they're not as distracting. But when I go to move my character, you see if I kind of put it there, it'll just snap it into place. So that way you can go, okay, I'm going to move 5 foot, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 feet. So it'll just snap it into place. You don't have to worry about things overlapping. Of course, if you don't want that feature, again, just come up here to the page background, turn off grid, change the color, the opacity, and we'll look at some of this other stuff probably in the next episode, which is coming up shortly. So this is just again, really quick overview of, well, I haven't even gone through all the tabs. And like I said, this is mostly for my players or current players looking at Roll20.net as a virtual tabletop, and we will see you guys next time where we continue looking at Roll20.net, look at some more of these features, and show you some really cool things, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, folks.